as Prime Minister, I would govern for the long term. I would adopt policies because they are right for Canada, not just the Canada of today, but also the Canada of our children and grandchildren. That's why I'm so determined to address global warming, because failure to do so would harm my generation and would be catastrophic for future generations. The same logic drives me to adopt policies leading to a stronger, more competitive Canadian economy. Such policies will help our economy today, and they will be absolutely essential for the economy we pass on to our children. The Canadian government must actively work in removing the obstacle that women face. This means progressive policies like extending parental leave benefits to a full year for men and women, as the Liberal government did a few years ago, and a national plan for early childhood learning. Unfortunately, Prime Minister Stephen Harper is headed the country in the opposite direction. By cancelling the early childhood learning program and by cutting funding to the status of women in Canada, he has taken us to the wrong direction. In short, when it comes to furthering the cause of equality for women in Canada, 2006 was a wasted year. As Prime Minister, I will stand up for women's rights. I will begin with my commitment to ensure that 1/3 of Liberal candidates in the next election are women, as well as my commitment to appoint a greater number of women to my cabinet. The Prime Minister has taken money from crucial long-term priorities, a healthy environment, a stronger economy, and used that money for short-term gratification. In its most recent Kyoto report card, the Sierra Club found that 2006 has been a wasted year in Canada's fight against global warming, thanks to the Conservative government cancellation of Canada Climate Change Plan, Project Green. The Sierra Club concludes that, in the eyes of the world, Canada has gone from hero to zero in the fight against climate change. It is their words. Well, less obviously, but just as dangerously, the Prime Minister has wasted a year in another sense by undermining the foundations of a strong Canadian economy and jobs for tomorrow. He has cut funding for research, post-secondary education, and international trade, and he has increased income tax. He has used this money to pay for an election-oriented, economically unproductive GST cut. While other countries are forging ahead to strengthen their economies, Mr. Harper is taking Canada in the wrong direction. He hasn't just wasted a year. He's made things worse for our competitiveness. Let me respond to those who think that competitiveness concerns are unblown because the economy is doing just fine. Anybody who feels that we should talk to one of thousands of Canadians losing their jobs in the manufacturing sector as factories shut down and jobs move overseas. It is certainly true that Canada's unemployment rate is at historic lows, and that some parts of the country are booming, even if others are not. That well-being is largely the result of Canadians' hard work, helped along by strong Liberal fiscal and monetary policies. But we are also enjoying the results of a decade of recession-free global economic expansion and strong world prices for some of our key natural resources. And under the surface, the Canadian economy still faces significant challenges. Our productivity growth, the main driver of living standards, is sagging. Compared with other countries, our presence in fast-growing markets like China and India is weak. We do worse than the Americans in commercialization and research, protecting that research through intellectual property laws and getting ideas from the lab to the market. These challenges are serious. Good economic leaders planned ahead, anticipating emerging challenges and making the right investments when times are good. That's why the previous Liberal government, after eliminating the $42 billion deficit left by the last Conservative government, invested in the competitiveness agenda, notably the research agenda. The previous Liberal government laid the groundwork for our success today. By the same measure, investment in the future competitiveness of this country would be the economic centerpiece of a Dion government. We need a competitiveness agenda. We need one because the world does not owe Canada a living. Ask yourself this question. Faced with emerging economies like India and China, how can a small country like Canada maintain its economic edge, one of the best quality of life in the world? Only by setting an economic policy that takes the long view and focuses squarely on increasing our competitiveness. Only this way. Competitive taxation, to be strong in the international market, and to invest massively in research, development, education. Start with the competitive taxation. Taxes have a powerful impact on people's behavior. You know that. If you cut the GST, you encourage consumption. On the other hand, if you cut income tax, you encourage Canadians to save and invest, increasing our productivity. That's why the Liberal government cut taxes by $100 billion in 2000, a measure I strongly supported. At the opposite end of the spectrum, we have this Conservative government willing to squander $12 billion per year, $60 billion over 5 years on an unproductive 2-point cut to the GST. From the IMF to the OECD, from the Fraser Institute to the government's own finance department, all have clearly said that lower income tax, not lower GST, is the right way to go. Even worse, the government actually raised income tax to pay for part of its first GST cut. Not only that, but they raised the income tax payable at the lowest level of income, a move that was both unfair and unproductive. As Prime Minister, I would not cut a second point from the GST, but instead, I would help grow the economy by ensuring that income taxes are low and that taxes on business and investments are competitive. I would enhance capital cost allowance rates consistently to encourage businesses to continually reinvest in modern machinery and equipment. I would reward gains in energy efficiency by sound environmental tax incentives. And I would use the tax system to help every Canadian benefit through measures like the working income tax benefit, helping low-income Canadians get jobs and climb over the welfare wall. When it comes to tax policy, we haven't just wasted a year. Under Stephen Harper, we've moved in the wrong direction. International trade. The United States will always be Canada's largest trading partner, and our vital relationship must be strengthened. Nevertheless, as the relative weight of North America in the global economy diminishes, Canada must diversify its trade and investment beyond North America.